Hello crafty friends, Louise Heinzel here. Welcome back to a new video and welcome back to a new idea here for my little inspiration keeper journal. Today I'm back with an idea that's new for me, hopefully for you too. And this idea was inspired by a YouTube channel that's called Mix It Up Marcy. Hi. So I watched a video on this channel about doodling on coffee. So there is a video where it's shown how you can make with coffee and your finger little marks on your paper, and then this cute person doodled over it and made some really cool little animals. So if you want to check that out, I will link this video and the channel in the info box so that you can watch that. And from this idea I came to the idea that I want to show you in this video here today. So I thought, okay, perhaps I can try that, but my whole journal here, as you know, is in this greenish, browny, yellowish color palette. And I thought coffee on those already, nearly brown papers would perhaps not have this effect that she had in her video tutorial. Excuse me, please. So I decided to try to find a way how to bring this to, perhaps another level if you have paper that's not white. And to have a solution where you can do that with coffee, if you like, to do that, but with a little bit more kind of color, that the whole stuff comes out a little bit more when you have such brown color pages like I'm having it here in my journal. So I decided to try what will happen when we mix coffee with Brushos. Normally it is meant to mix those Brusho colors with water, of course, and then you will get the colors that are made by this brand where the Brusho colors come from. But what will happen when you mix that with coffee and when you doodle over that with a black pen when it's dry? I don't know. The other intention of this video is to answer some questions that I got my Facebook Messenger or in the comments and anywhere else where you can contact me. One question was, and that was some kind of more questions, but they are concentrated in one. So the question was, how will you bring the inspirations from this journal to another journal so that it makes sense? When you have, for example, the things that we made the last time with this masking tape, for example, how can I bring that to a new journal, and how can the person who is using the journal see that there is a harmony, that everything comes together? So for this tutorial I want to try to explain that a little bit to you and show you how you can use this technique that I am trying here today for different parts of the journal. So for example, we will try that to do it on tags, so that you can have this embellishment on your tag and you can put the tag where you want it into your journal. You don't have to leave it here. When you of course make something like this stamp here, it's not movable, it's here on the page. But when I have such an embellishment, or the embellishments that we will make today, how can I make that and bring them to different places to my journal? So that's one intention of this video as well. So for this thing here I have a cup of coffee, of course, my Brushos here. I also have some brushes, because I don't know if I'm able to bring the color and the coffee there where I want it, only with my finger. Then of course my tags here, and I also have a white copy paper, that's 200 copy paper, because I want to try out how this looks on white paper, and of course that will not be such nice, so I will cut some smaller pieces here And then I will, yeah, try to make this technique onto these little stripes. I don't care about if this is a straight line, because, yeah, I want to make it like this, so that we can, yeah, try this technique out on this white paper here. And when you think, okay, that's too white for me, it has no frame or something like that, later on you can distress it, or what I have also here, you can put it to another piece of paper here and glue it, cut around here, and then you have a little frame here when you put that to your journal later. So that's the plan. But I will first paint the things here on top, because when this has to dry, perhaps it gets a little bit wavy, and it's easier for me when I can iron it in between and then glue it to this brown paper here, because, yeah, that will look much nicer than when I have this thing wavy in the end. And I don't want to iron this when it's glued, because, you know, glue and iron, that's not such a good idea. And another thing is, I don't want to doodle animals. So I tried to imagine some flowers, some botanical stuff, because as you know, when you watch the other videos in this journal, I yeah, left it very simple, and I want to have the same theme for my pages, so that I can compare my things later a little bit better. So I will try to make some floral things and some botanicals. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do is try it like Marcy did it on her channel, and I will make everything with my finger. So I will make one here on the white thing, one on this tag here. So yeah, let's see. So what she did was she took her finger. Can you see anything? Sorry. And her coffee, and she dipped it in, and then she made those little marks here. And she said she thought about animals. Now I would like to think about some floral stuff that I perhaps have in my mind. But yeah, as you know, with this doodle stuff and with this experimenting, you never can control that in such a way that you perhaps want it. So I try to make it like I think it's good, or yeah, I also don't want to overthink it. So that's the point. That's perhaps also not so unimportant, because yeah, when you think too much about it, then perhaps later on you have a problem. Okay, so now I have my coffee here. I see on this white copy paper it soaks very fast, so that can be perhaps a little problem. Now I take my green Brusho. So if anyone wants to do the same, it's the sea green Brusho. Then I tried to get that into those little coffee things here, and in this step I will do nothing with those Brushos. So I bring them here, and I don't want to manipulate them with a brush or more coffee or something like that, to see what will happen when I leave it like it is here, and when I don't go over it with my finger here a second time or something like that. But here, yeah, let's try it. I don't know. That's too dry already. So yeah, this copy paper soaks it very, very, very fast. So I just go over it and dip here one time with another sip of coffee. Now I will let this dry as it is. In the meantime, sorry, let's just put this here. I have a little problem here with my space because here I'm here on my window and not where I normally am filming, and here's the space is very small. So please excuse if I'm a little bit uncontrolled. Okay, so this was finger and Brusho without doing anything with the Brushos. Now let's try to take the finger, and I try to get nearly the same patterns, even if I know that this is yeah, nearly impossible, but I try to make it something similar so that I can compare it a little bit easier later on when I'm finished with that. And now I take the sea green again. Was it sea green? Yes, the sea green again. And perhaps a little bit faster than in the step before, because when this soaks to the paper, then we have perhaps a problem. And now I will move it around, but only a little bit. And try to, yeah, here it was not so successful. And I try to bring the coffee and the Brusho colors, the flowing Brusho colors, together in some way. And hopefully later on we have this brown color from the coffee and the green color from the Brusho mixed in a really cool way. And of course you can add some more coffee if you think, like here, can be a little bit more. Okay. Then I let this dry as well as it is. And make another one here on my tag. So that I have, when this looks nice, another thing that I can put on another place in my journal later. So when I have this here and in my journal there, then I can take the tag and put it somewhere else into my journal. And so I have this harmony that you talked about, that you thought, okay, why has she this, yeah, this color palette and this harmony in her journals? That's the trick. So I think it's not a big deal or something like that, but that's the way I would do it, so that I have movable parts that I can put to another place, in the same way I made some decorations on other pages. I will not do it on this paper, because as you can see here, that looks really strange and I don't like that. I don't know how that will look when it's dry, but this coffee thing here looks not like I want it. So I don't follow this way with the copy paper, but I think that's not so important. Just want to bring this a little bit to here, and now I will leave this here as it is and let this dry. I don't know if I can continue on the bottom of this page while this is flowing around there, but let's try that. The next step is I want to try that with the brush. So I would like to make my Brusho flowers like I would do them normally. So yeah, perhaps you saw some of my Brusho flowers in one of my previous journals. There's a little trick with that. You can make a really simple flower. Normally I would take water for that, but now I take coffee, and then I put 3 of those little dots here, as you can see, in the middle of the page, and then I put the Brusho color very carefully and not too much to these little dots. As you can see, it already mixes up a little bit, and then I wait a little bit, because I want to have those little dots in the middle of the flower a little bit darker, of course, so that this dimension of the flower can come out a little bit more, so that you can see that a little bit better. And when I waited a little bit, a few seconds, and it's soaked into the paper, then, can you see that? Yes. I go into my water, or in this case into the coffee, take a little bit to my brush, and then I only do it like this. And of course it belongs to the paper how good you can blend this to the outside, but I try to get more color in the middle of this flower and blend it out to the sides here. And of course, when you make 4 of those dots, you can make 4 leaves as well. And now you can see, hopefully, in the middle here where the little things here from the flower are, there's a little bit darker of this green, and to the outside it's yeah, a little bit lighter. And that's a good thing because the flower gets a little bit, yeah, more of a dimension. Of course you can, as I said, do that with 4 dots in the middle as well, and I try to take a little bit more coffee now here. And of course you can say, okay, that's not enough for me. I put a little bit of coffee here and see what's happening. And when you put that here, that will bring the Brusho color a little bit more to the middle as well, and the sides will get a little bit more green as well. And of course, when you have a journal like I'm having it here, that's already sewn together, so the signatures are sewn in, then you can't lay your journal as flat on the table as you could lay a paper to the table. So that's a little bit tricky, but I think in the most cases that's the reality, because sometimes you have the journal already finished, and for those, yeah, this last finishing touches, you use the journal as it is, and you don't have the chance to lay your paper flat on the table. So I try to, yeah, figure things out in a way that they would be in the end, when I, yeah, do this into a journal, then it would be sewn as well, perhaps. Or I think, okay, that's not possible to do that. For example, here is much color, and I have to wait very long until this is dry. So I can also think, okay, it's better to do that on a flat paper and then sew it in. That can also be a, yeah, thing that I'm thinking about, and that I will do in the future. But now I think we have to live with what we have here. And perhaps you think, okay, that don't looks like a flower until now, but of course you can add with the doodling later all the elements that you want to have there, and you can yeah, change it like you want it. That's of course also possible. And here on the end I would like to try a little thing like that. With this coffee, it's a cool thing because you can press the brush like so, and then the coffee will stay there, and when you let it dry without taking a heat gun or something like that, then you will yeah, get a really nice result with really sharp edges at the end, so that it really looks like some leaves or something like that. And I think that's a cool thing. And I'm really excited about how this mix of coffee and these brushes will come out in the end when it's really dry. And in the meantime, I thought about, okay, you can say, why isn't she using her brown Brusho color and water? Of course, you can also make a mixture from water and this brown brushes and use this brown Brusho with this green Brusho. But I want to see if there's a different reaction between the coffee and the Brusho. And I think when I see it here now, the brown of the coffee is totally different than this light brown that exists in the Brusho collection. And we want to have the focal point on the Brusho colors, and we want to have the focal point on our doodling. And I think when, excuse me, when the brown color and the green color is too extreme, then that would not be such a good idea. So it will not be such a good result. And as you perhaps can see, the different little pigments, these crystals from the green Brusho, have such different colors in this thing here, that I don't want to have the different colors of the brown as well. So let me try to show you that. For example, here, oh, I don't know if you can see that. The light is really strange here at the moment. There is already blue, some yellow, some turquoise mixed in this whole green stuff. And when I also have this little crystals from the brown, I will have orange and some black, some blue and that stuff, and I don't want to overload this this whole thing. So yeah, that's another thing that you perhaps can have in mind when you do that. So we have some leftover space here in this edges here, so let's try to make some botanicals in the end, and perhaps another one here. And I don't care about the shape of this whole stuff here at this moment, because yeah, I think when you don't overthink it, it's much better. The only thing that I want to try is mix it up here a little bit and then go with this circle to the other, so that it gets this effect. Okay, stop it. Perhaps a little bit darker in the middle, a little bit more of this. Okay. Okay. So now I will stop this here. I will drink a coffee, not this one here, because I think this is a little bit green from my brushes. And when this has dried as it is, I will be back, I will show you, and then we will doodle over this and yeah, make some flowers and some botanicals out of this. So yeah, see you in a few minutes. Okay, so here I'm back. So as you can see, this is dry. And I just moved my camera a little bit closer to the paper so that you can see a little bit more in detail what I'm doing now. As you can see on this dried text and on the page, the different technique reacted in a really different way. So this was the tag where I put the coffee and then the brushes without doing anything with my finger. This one is the one where I, yeah, went over with my finger. And as you can see, the color is totally different. That's because the brushes are mixed itself from different kinds of those little crystals. So this green color, this sea green, was it sea green? Yes. So the sea green has also some turquoise and lighter greens in it, and not only this dark green that you can see here. And of course, when you use it on such a dyed paper, this is onion dyed paper, then it will react in another way than on white paper. So let me just show you this little thing that worked not so well. As you can see on the white paper, this green comes out really different. So I like those muted colors here. If you like to have really bright colors, then you should use white paper to bring this out, this effect of this brighter colors when you want to have the brushes like they are, I think, meant to be. The good thing about letting this dry as it was is that you get this really sharp edges and this really beautiful watercolor effects. As you can see here on this last piece, this last shape that I made here, you can see this washing of the water of the coffee, comes out really cool, and these edges are really great for this doodling stuff, because you already have a line there, but a line that's not black, so that when you doodle, you have more interest on this whole stuff when you put these lines that came from the drying in combination with the lines that you will draw or doodle over it. When you make something like this here in the edge, as I made here, so I left this to show you, then of course some of the crystals will fall next to this part where the coffee was, and they will be there on your paper. You can leave them there, of course, if you like that, but you can also take a dry paintbrush and go over it very carefully and take away what's not sticking on the paper. So I like to do that with the brush, because when I go over it with my finger, then it can happen that it smears and I have this green line here through my page, and I don't want that. And I don't care about the little crystals that stay there. So as you can see, not everything here was removable, but I think that can bring a little more interest to this doodling stuff as well. And of course you can incorporate those little dots here to your doodling as well. I would like to start with the doodling with the, for me, most visible botanical thing that I can see here on my page, because of course I haven't thought about this will be a poppy, or this will be a daisy or something like that, or this will be a grass or so. As I said, I made it without thinking about it too much. And now, of course, I have to find out some things that I can do here so that it really looks like a botanical and not like something some other stuff. So for me, this one here looks like I have to make a little stamp here like this. And then perhaps only bringing these little leaves here with these lines together. I'm just thinking about going into it, and let's try that here. Yeah, that's not bad. And I always have the problem to do something and explaining something, but yeah, you know that when you know my channel. I think that looks better. So sometimes I have the feeling when the black line of the doodling goes not completely to the thing here, but it stops a little bit before the color comes. So like here, then sometimes that looks not so bad. So it looks better than when it goes into it. But I think in this case, we can do it like this. And of course, you can try that out and first stop in front of the color, and then when you think, okay, I can go into this circle, go into it and yeah, do it. Perhaps like this. I think that's cool. Now there's a really difficult decision for me if I shall go around the leaves here or if I should leave it like it is. So let's first leave it here and let's see what will happen with the other stuff here. And I always have a problem when I have to wait long for something to dry or something like that. Then I have a little bit a problem because I don't want to destroy this thing. And sometimes there are things that come to your eye in a second and you think, okay, there's no other way than doing it like this. And sometimes you have to think about it a little bit more, but I think that's normal. And I often look at such kind of doodlings on Pinterest, for example. And I always like those things where these double lines are. So not only one line around this thing here, but two lines or sometimes three that are going over each other. So I like to try to do it here as well. And use this. I don't, can you see this little dot there? I don't want to destroy this dot, what's there. It's a really tiny dot. I don't know if you can see that there. Left side to this bigger dot there, and I don't want to destroy it because I think that's a really, yeah, something like a cute thing, even if perhaps only I can see it and the other people won't see it, but I want to have it there. I'm trying to make this stamp here in a way that's not going over there, over this little dot. Yeah, and I think I will take out my white pen as well. As you perhaps know, when you saw the other videos, I used a white pen on my other pages as well to give it a little bit more of a contrast. And okay, so let's try this smaller one. Perhaps that's a good idea. To give it a little bit more, yeah, as I said, a contrast or something like more interest. So let me I just have to bring this pen to work. So this is something like a corrector's pen, because I don't know a white pen that works for me. Every white pen I had in my hands was a really big disaster. So yeah, that I found this solution with this corrector's pen, and that works really well on nearly any surface. So now it looks like this, and perhaps we can make some really tiny leaves. Like this, and then okay. That's not so easy. So I think to see animals or something like that is perhaps, yeah, a little bit easier, even if I think that's a thing to, so painting animals or doodling animals is not so easy for me. So I think seeing them is not the problem, but painting them is something really strange. So I was really impressed by this video, because I think I wouldn't be able to do that. But this, yeah, I think sometimes you think, okay, that's a flower. Perhaps you know that you are somewhere and you think, okay, this little stone there looks like a flower, or that looks like a heart or something like that. And I could try that on my paper, yeah. And when you really try to do it, then it's something like really strange, because yeah, sometimes you can't see anything. So I have this little problem here at the moment, that I think something is looking like a flower, but I'm not sure how to do that. But I also want to try to give you my thoughts here at the moment. So I think when you try to do that at home and try to do that by yourself, you will have similar things that you think about, and perhaps it's a little bit helpful when I tell you what I'm thinking about and what I'm struggling with during this process. Okay, so let's try this thing here. Perhaps that's enough. Yes, that's enough. So that's what I wanted to say before. So here the leaves are not touching the stamp of this little botanical thing, in comparison to this here, where I try to do it the same like here, and not letting the things touch the stamp. I think that looks much more realistic, and that's something like a more abstract thing. But I don't want to add those little lines here, because I think, yeah, that's nice as it is. And yeah, I think the watercolor experts would do it like this as well, and they know why they do that, because it looks great as it is. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So now here I think that's a little bit easier to put some of those little things here in the middle, because we have had a flower in mind when we did this. So I think that's a little bit easier to figure out where you have to put the doodle things in, perhaps like this. And perhaps a little bit of this black here into the middle as well. So of course you can't look through such a flower in the middle, so that it looks a little bit more realistic. I put a little bit of this black here, and then this thing perhaps comes out here. Yeah. Okay, so let's try to go around here as well. And I'm trying to press the pen only very light to my paper, so that the line gets a little bit thicker and thinner, and sometimes here's a little hole in this line, so that it's not such regular, and the whole stuff gets a little bit more loose or something like that. And I like to try to take a little thicker pen, even if that looks like it would make no sense. But when you have a thicker pen, you have the chance to get thicker lines like here or here, for example, for the stamp, where you can go with one line and you have this thing there. But when you press not so much, then you have the chance to get the yeah, this different looking lines as I made them here, and I think that looks really cool. And I'm just thinking about making the dots white. I think that's better. And that's the good thing about this corrector's pen. When you have this here and you made the dots black and you think, okay, I want them white, you can easily go over it and it will, the black will disappear completely. So yeah, I think that's good because yeah, you can correct those things that you don't like and change something. Often those white pens are not such good that they can yeah, discover the thing that's under the white, and that's sometimes a little bit, yeah, killing my nerves because yeah, I want to change things during the process. So yeah, of course we can also perhaps make some of those little dots here, that this whole stuff comes a little bit more together. And I'm just thinking I'm an idiot, because if I had made this thing here into this little leaves here, then it could look like that those bottom leaves here from this flower, but I missed that chance. But I think I have a solution for this as well. So let's imagine that this is not the stem from this flower here, but it goes behind it here and comes out here. So hopefully that makes sense. Now this little thing here goes to this line, and I can make, yeah, something like a new stem for this, and I'm just thinking about the curve that I need here. This would be too much. I think it has to be somewhere here or somewhere, yeah, in the near thing here, because that upper part of this thing makes sense. But let's try to do it like this. Yeah, I think that's not too bad, because yeah, this flower is really small when you compare it with this leaves, and when you want to have this leaves with this flower, then it needs a little bit more on the top for my preference. And when you have both of these stamps here and one goes out here, then it looks a little bit more like realistic, like the flower can stand on this little tiny thing here. So hopefully that makes sense. So let's just bring out those little leaves here. And I try to do it in the same way like there, with this different pressing of the pen. Perhaps do it like this. And like this. And I try to follow those, to give these lines the curve that it looks like the leaf is a little bit yeah, round to the other side. For my imagination, that's not always so easy how this has to be, because I think also in nature and in reality that's sometimes a little bit different. And of course you don't have any shadings or something like that that you can use here, so that this imagination of this curved leaf is given here. And yeah, so perhaps we have to try to find a middle way to to let this look like a leaf. But that's, of course, the cool thing about doodling. There are no rules. You can do it like you want it, and like you, yeah, want to have it on your paper. Okay, so I think the main things are clear. I will speed up the video from here for you so that you can see my process for the rest of those flowers here, and we will see after that. Whew. Okay, so here I am back with my result. As you can see, I changed my original order a little bit. So in the beginning of the video, I had the imagination. I have one row of flowers and botanicals here, one here, and one on the bottom. And during this process, and yeah, during this time, I had really much fun to do this. I thought, okay, why not combining them, why not bringing them together, because I know this row, this row, this row, and this row, and there's no problem for me when I bring this whole thing together so that I have a whole page. That has two good things, because the first thing is, yeah, of course, you have more fun when you are doing this, and you have the feeling not only having little parts here in this journal, not only practicing, not only trying out, but also having a whole page, a whole piece in the end. And the other thing is that you can see if you can manage to combine that things, because of course it can happen that you make some dots and some marks here with your colors and your coffee in your original journal where you want to use that, and perhaps you make a little mistake and there is a dot and you don't know what to do with it. When you practiced here to combine and to bring those flowers together, then you will have, of course, not so many problems to manage that in the journal and to making this little mistake disappear, for example. Yeah, so that's hopefully something that makes sense. And as you can see, I also did these things here on the tags. And one thing I wanted to mention is, for my personal preference, and with this light I have here on this window at the moment, this tag wouldn't fit to the rest. Even if we had here only the Brusho colors without touching it, the effect on this tag is much more than here in this first row. So let me just put it here and bring it a little bit more to my camera, and perhaps into a little bit better light so that you can see that. So here we have this turquoise stuff. We have this here as well, but not so intensive. Obviously here the Brushos reacted a little bit different, and here with this white stuff over it, you can't see that so intensive like on this tag. So if I want to use this tag, and this here is my journal where I have put this page into, then I would try to put this tag not directly next to this page. So I would try to, yeah, make something like a doodle that I have already here. So for example, this pattern here, but in black, onto this tag where I see, okay, this turquoise is not fitting here to the rest so well, but I want to use the tag. And then I can put, for example, the tag onto another page with a paper clip or something like that. And you would see, okay, this is the same pattern, this is the same botanical doodling, but your eye and your brain can't see such clear that this is not exactly the same color like it is here. So yeah, I think you know what I mean. This problem here also came because this is much lighter paper than this, and it's also a different quality of paper. So this was with flower dyed paper, and this was a very cheap watercolor from an action store. So that's something like this dollar stores that you know. And I think this paper is not so, yeah, the quality of the paper is nearly bad. And that's also a problem why the Brushos came out so different here. For example, this one here, this is another kind of paper. So I think this and this is the same paper. You can see that this came out much more harmonical than the other one. Of course, that belongs also to the technique that we made here. So this was the one where I went over with my finger and mixed the Brushos a little bit more with each other, so that the color is more yeah, not so different like here. So the crystals mixed with the coffee and each other. I think a way between both of those is the best, because here it looks really, really similar. So even if we have different green tones, they look really similar, some darker and some lighter greens. And here it's too extreme. But when you look here, it's something in between. So some of those turquoise tones come here, and this lighter green as well. That's nearly yellow on my paper. And this really mixed up things are here next to it. And here I think it looks really nice. And also here on this bigger flower and the leaves here on the bottom, I think this watercolor effect that comes out much better, yeah, when the crystals are not mixed up totally. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And here, when you have, yeah, a space on your paper where the coffee comes to the Brusho, but not mixed, is not mixed up completely. So like here or here, I think there's yeah, there's different colors, this brown and this green, that looks really, really nice. So if I would do it a second time, I would try to make more of those naked coffee things, so that you only have coffee dots, or perhaps when this is dry, splattering over it with coffee before I doodle, because when I do it now, this pen is water soluble, so everything will be destroyed. But before doodling, splattering with coffee, then you have those little tiny dots. I think that can be perhaps a solution, that this looks yeah, a little bit more filigrane. I think that's the word. Okay, so perhaps after I stop this recording here, I will try to take a toothpick or something like that and make controlled little dots with coffee. I think I will try that, and then I will show you a picture in the end of the video how that looks. So yeah, I can take a picture of this, and then you can compare it, what you like better and what you perhaps want to try at home. So yeah, a very big thank you to Mix It Up Marcy. Marcy, is that, so I don't know, is that your name or is that only the name of your channel? Please tell me that. I don't know. This was a really, really cool idea, even if your idea was totally different than this one. So your results were totally different than mine are here, but I think that's the cool thing about this crafty community. And in the end of this video, so for those people who are watching my videos until the end, I also want to say something that I realized during the last month and the last years, I think, but during the last days, that was so incredibly a thick thought in my brain that I thought, okay, I have to say that again. I want to thank you, everyone who watches my videos and everyone in this junk journaling community. I think there's no community in this world that's so kind and so helpful and friendly than this community. And I'm so glad that I found you all. And I'm happy about everyone, not only who watches my videos, but who messages me, who yeah, takes my digital papers and such stuff. I'm so happy about my design team. So hi, ladies from my design team. There are so many cool people I would never have met when I'm not in this junk journaling community. And perhaps, you know, my first videos where I was struggling with my English, I'm struggling with my English today as well, but hopefully it's a little bit better. And you know, perhaps that I came to junk journaling by a happy accident, a really, really big happy accident. And I'm so happy because it makes every day a little bit brighter for me. And that's so cool, and I'm so thankful for that, and I had to say that. So perhaps you are feeling the same, and perhaps you would like to try this out. So I will stop talking now so that you can grab your supplies and try this out. So yeah, stay crafty, stay healthy, and for those people who have to do that until now, stay home if it's necessary, or if you are able to do that, so to save the other people in this strange time that yeah, obviously seems not to have an end. But perhaps you can make such things and yeah, make your day a little bit brighter as mine. So yeah, see you the next time. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.